Wraeclast Weekly, a show about past week's comings and goings in Path of Exile.
Hello fellow exiles! Today we'll look at the week 2 of Ritual League and debut Reddit report. We start off last week with a patch that tweaked many aspects of the new content. Ritual saw various improvements like various display bugs being fixed, as well as improvements to tribute awards from 4th tribute encounter. Sadly, the invisible monster bug in Ritual still persists, so bring an auto-target skill to help locate the sneaks. In echoes of the Atlas improvements, watchstones can no longer be imprinted, as this was providing players with too much utility, seeing as elevated sextons could be used indefinitely, because after undoing the imprints the sexton charges returned as well. This is not retroactive, so if you still have watchstone imprints laying around, they will be usable on work as before. Visibility of activated Maven's beacon and master missions has also seen improvements, so now it can be easier to distinguish between on and off. In boss fight news, Maven's Witness Shaper can no longer be healed during Shaper's immunity phase, and more importantly, Cyrus will no longer shoot his die beam from everywhere else except his hands. Texture streaming also received a few improvements, especially for Vulcan users, but if community members on Reddit can be believed, then it hasn't been enough. Speaking of texture streaming, the development manifesto on this topic brought some insights into the workings of this new system. Historically, Path of Exile engine would fully render all assets and try to do so even if they hadn't been loaded yet, dropping a lot of frames and subsequently causing a stutter. Texture streaming is there to try to maintain a stable frame rate as much as possible, and that includes generating low-resolution versions of all textures that are pre-loaded when the game is started, and using those while full-resolution ones are loaded. This ideally should happen during the loading screen, but does not for many players. Even though the system is in place to improve performance and memory usage in preparation for Path of Exile 2, in its current iteration it is quite a big enjoyment detractor for many players, as in regions where new textures appear constantly, for example towns. Every re-entry in these areas are a blurry mess. Most notable is Rogue Harbor, which went from an individual instance to shared one. As this is an ongoing improvement, there is no strict timeline for the fix, but is being worked on. On a less serious note, several talented exiles were featured in a community showcase. Amongst these were digital paintings, detailed replicas, tattoo and other reimaginings of what Path of Exile has to offer. If you create Path of Exile art in any shape or form, don't hesitate to post it on the forums and maybe we will see you in the next community showcase. Now let's take a look at week 2 of Ritual League report, which is a summary of things that have gone well, ones that still need improvement, and clarifying some speculations. As mentioned, some ritual monsters are still invisible and a fix should be coming in one of the next patches. If you find an empty sacred grove, it is not bugged, but you've encountered the heart of the grove fight, and in this case should talk to Oshobi to start. Arcane Surge buff currently is not applying correctly, and the fix will be deployed as soon as possible. In other news, Reddit report is a short recap where we look at what Path of Exile community on Reddit has been up to. In curious discoveries, we have Reddit user Xenomrus finding out that maximum amount of golems is in fact 140. Will there be someone who takes advantage of this information? I really hope so. Quinn had commissioned Path of Exile and Diablo-inspired artwork featuring prominent Path of Exile streamers. The amount of detail squeezed in it is amazing. Now we can play Where's Waldo with Path of Exile personalities. In a truly Reddit fashion, rogue markers are the currency to hold on to. Is moon landing achievable? That's all for this week's events. This was Mar and this was
Wraeclast Weekly.